Well, hello friends. So today we're going to do a little bit of a breakdown on doing some mastering on a mix that I got. So the song was titled Louis Vuitton. I believe it's changing due to like trademark name, but it's sung a lot during the song, so you'll catch that. Anyway, so I don't know the new name yet, but it will be there. And this is almost ready to release, so I'm just kind of giving a little bit of a teaser while kind of showcasing what we can do in studio. So, one other thing is that there is a song that we're going to kind of bounce from, a song by Little Skies. Now, I'm not trying to mess with anyone's copyrights, so I'm going to have to keep it really, really short, and I'm hoping it's enough for you to tell the difference. But basically what we're going to do is I'm going to show you where the song was, then I'm going to show you what it is we're trying to get closer to a match on, and then I'm going to show you how we got that closer to a match. So here's what we originally started with.
Everyone head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton, yeah. Baby girl moving too fast, slow it down. She just wanna spend my money, go downtown, yeah. Checks, 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 get the check, please. Bet, they all want me.
Okay, so you got an idea of kind of where we're starting from. Now, the mix is good, it's clear, it's clean. But it has one of those things that we kind of all do in the early days, and like I still do sometimes and have to correct it. But basically what happens is that because we're trying to get everything really clean, and we take out too much of the warmth in the process. So for this, part of the settings that I had to fix was actually going through and adding that warmth in that it needed. So now I'm going to kind of bounce between this and that reference track that I was talking about from Little Skies. Now, again, I'm just trying to show this for educational purposes. Please don't hate me for it or something. It's just so you understand what we're talking about.
Everyone head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton. Oh, she just wanna spend my money, go downtown, yeah.
You just wanna fuck me for my fame.
Bet, they all want me. She like,
yeah, don't you just wanna fuck me for
crazy where I thought I see her free, yeah.
So just right off the bat, you're going to hear that the mix that I was originally given, it's very clean. It's easy to hear what's going on. But that body that you can hear in the other one, that warmth, is just not there in the way that for the pro level sound of like radio ready kind of a thing, that's all it's lacking. So everything sounds good. Now we just have to make it sound more like that. So now showing just where we went. So I'm going to turn this solo off after I switch over to the other one, so you can kind of hear, and I'll kind of bounce between them. Anytime this little solo button over here is on, that solo button means it's the old track. When it's like this, that's the mastering afterwards. And then you can't see on screen. I guess I'll just kind of pull this over for a second. You'll just see this when this A-B switch over here, when it's B, it's going to be the Little Skies song. Again, I'm trying to keep it quick because this is for educational purposes.
Everyone head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton, yeah. Slow it down. She just wanna spend my money, go downtown, yeah.
You just wanna fuck me for my fame, girl.
Bet, they all want me. She like, head her up.
You just wanna fuck me for the
where I thought I see her free, yeah.
Fuck me cause I'm diamonds on.
My life, it is turning out.
Playing all them games, girl.
Now, right now, bad little bitch in the back.
So if you notice, like what overall was done has turned it more towards that side where we brought the warmth back in that it was missing, still kept the mix the way that the original mixing engineer had it, because it still sounded good. We just needed to kind of bring that warmth back in. So now a couple of other things that we messed around with when working on this master is one of the things you want to do when you're putting a song together is you want to create moments, things that aren't just the same thing. It gives it a little bit of uniqueness to it. And so what I ended up doing as we look at this is this is what's called a high pass filter right here. So anything that's this green color is frequencies being cut out. And so what you're going to see happen is I set an automation to where it's actually going to move that across and bring in more and more low end as the song comes in. So here, let me show you instead of just telling you.
Said you can go and do it, everyone. Head to toe dressed.
So we just kind of give it a cool little intro thing so that it adds a little bit of the uniqueness to it. Now, you'll notice on here I have a few different things. I have a precision multiband and an EQ, and both of these I just did little things that were bothering me about the track. So here I was adding some warmth. Here I was taking out some of the high end because I love me some high end just like everybody else, but then it starts to be brittle on other stereo systems. So that's where we got to kind of like touch those things up. And so then there's our intro. Now, one of the other things as that came in, I don't know if you heard it or not, it's pretty subtle. One of the other things that we added is that originally it just had the regular part coming in, but I ended up adding this delay in, so it just kind of blended in between. So by adding the delay, so without it, we just had this here. And then it just jumps into the next part. What I did is I added some extra like reverb and delay to it to go into the chorus, so it sounds like this. So it's really subtle, but now when you hear it in the track, as we go across into it, you'll hear that delay just kind of trailing out, and it just brings those pieces together a little more.
Said you can go and do whatever you want. Head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton, yeah, baby girl.
And if you don't hear it, don't worry. These are the subtle things that's why we do what we do, not so you have to suffer through it. A couple of other things that we had to mess around with. So now when working with auto-tune stuff, it's really easy to try and go for that really clean sound, but then it's really bright and brittle. So that's where like part of this on this chorus piece is that I had to add some stuff here. Let's just kind of bring these up. So you'll notice this was kind of the same thing. It was just a really, really subtle portion.
Baby girl moving too fast, slow it down. She just wanna spend my money, go down.
Okay, I was wrong. It was not subtle. I forgot I did this a couple days ago. So yeah, so our mids were bringing up over here, and our lows.
Baby girl moving too fast, slow it.
We're kind of bringing down just a touch on our lows, just because to balance that mix, we have to kind of maneuver a few things. And so we had to bring up some mids, we had to bring down some lows, we had to bring down some highs, but we don't want it to sound really mid-rangey, so this is kind of where it's all coming together. Now over here, like if you notice, if I take these EQs off completely.
Baby girl moving too fast, slow it down. She just wanna spend my money, go downtown, yeah. Checks, 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 get the check, please. Bet, bet, they all want me. She like, had her on her knees. She was going crazy, swear I thought she.
And now I will tell you that when listening to those higher ones, technically I like it, because that's just kind of like what I was used to when I used to mix stuff too. I now just use the reference tracks to make sure that what I'm doing is what it's actually supposed to sound like, because sometimes you want that clean mix, so you start just like scooping out those frequencies, but then you start to lose it. And so basically I'm just kind of pushing those things back in. I also, just during the chorus parts, there's this width knob on here, and I love using this plugin even just for that, but I'm just making it a little bit wider during the chorus. So if I turn that off, like if I bypass this.
Baby girl moving too fast, slow it down. She just wanna spend my money, go downtown, yeah. Checks, 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 get the check, please. Bet, bet, they all want me. She like, had her on her knees. She was going crazy, swear.
Like by adding that width during the chorus, what we end up hearing is that it opens up the mix a little more, but what we really notice is those backing vocals start coming out a little more. Instead of it just all kind of being in this area, now that it's wider, now they're kind of like in this area. And you probably can't see my hands, but well, if you can, cool. If not, then I apologize. But basically, we're widening just the chorus part because when you jump into the chorus, you want it to feel bigger. You want it to feel wider. You want that to be the part that just really opens up in the mix. So as you hear going between this first one where it doesn't have that, and then switching over to where it does, there's a slight little amount.
Said you can go and do whatever you want. Head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton, yeah.
And then here we're going to go back from the end of the chorus into the verse. And the whole idea is we're trying to bring that back in. So we're trying to make it not quite as wide so that our chorus has more impact.
On her knees, she was going crazy, swear I thought she was free, yeah. Wow, oh wow, oh wow, my life it is turning out. I say right now, right now, right now. Bad little bitch in the best.
So you notice it's like we just brought the mix in a little bit more, made it so it's back more like the original mix was. And then we go back to the chorus again, and then we come into this next piece.
Take it real slow, I let her feel it deep. Think about my life, I just have the.
And I super apologize. I did not get the artist name on the feature on this. I will try and find that out and put that in here. So I apologize. But let me see here. So one of the things that we had to do was in his section, there was just not enough mid-range. So let me show you. So there's I was balancing both the vocals from Caleb and from this artist also, and I needed to get that to be a little bit more balanced. And for this artist, it was too quiet. We couldn't hear him as well. And so what I ended up doing was doing this here. So here's before.
Take it real slow while I let her feel it deep. Think about my life, I should have double felonies. Pops deported, I'm a junior, yeah, my senior gone. Smoking gas, let me forget while I'm getting stoned. It's a crazy world, step on your tippy toes. Came a long way from drug dealing with my bros. It's a crazy.
So if you notice, by bringing those mids back in, we're starting to get some more clarity. We're starting to get some more of the actual, like, the articulations, because these mids and these high frequencies here, we're basically trying to get back what got lost in the mix, and sometimes that happens. Like when we're mixing, we have heard the song so many times by the time we're done. Sometimes that's why it's good to get another ear. So sometimes it's helpful. I tend to master as I go, but then if an artist is like, hey, I want to have somebody else master, it's like, hey, if you want to, just please don't let them destroy the mix. So my goal is always to try and add to the mix and make it so that the original person likes it as well. And Caleb was actually present while I was doing the master for this, so that way I was getting approval. I wasn't just going on a bunch of tangents and doing whatever I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure it was what he wanted to. So now we have, again, here we're going to have one of those little echo pieces coming in.
All black Audi bitch, it came with 4 rings.
Said you can go and do whatever you want. Head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton. Yeah, baby girl moving too.
And again, it's really subtle.
Said you can go and do whatever you want.
But it's just enough to be able to just kind of like keep pulling you in. It's that it's more of feeling it than hearing it. You can kind of hear it a little bit, but it's mostly of feeling it, because when it's not there, you'll notice it. So speaking of, well, if it's not there, here, I'll show you. And here we go. So we're going to turn that off.
Said you can go and do whatever you want. Head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton. Yeah, baby girl moving too fast, slow it down. She just
So it still flows in, but now...
Said you can go and do whatever you want. Head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton. Yeah, baby girl moving too fast.
Because you can kind of hear that delay overlap with the delayed vocal that's already in there, and that overlap just kind of smooths that transition out. And then let's see what else we got here. So we did a little tiny bit here, and it was mainly there's a delay here. That I'll mute this first one. So there's this anyone. It's and to me, it sounds kind of like either a reverse reverb or something of that like, and it just feels a little bit too metallic for me. And so what I did is I added this extra echo underneath, which is just to fill in the gaps. So you notice it's really, really kind of mid-rangey. And the whole idea is so that way, where originally we have this, and now when you hear that anyone echo, it's still a little bright for me, but this is a master. This isn't a mix, so I can't undo something that's there. But it doesn't sound bad. It still sounds good. I just wanted to warm it up a little, and that's what this little piece was for. And then, let's see here. Then we have our tail end piece where we did kind of the opposite of what we did at the beginning. So... Now there's also a couple of other things here. So there's that one that's automated where you could see those. This one is also automating the same type of effect. And then the last little part that we just kind of added a cool little effect is that, so if I take this pixelator off, you're going to hear it without that, and it's just the ending you really notice. But as you play it by itself, you're going to hear almost like, it almost sounds like a little bit of distortion thing, but it's in the way that the track was recorded, and it's kind of a cool little feel. And so this we kind of added after the fact because it just kind of added to that. So. Hang on, let me turn that automation off so you can hear it without that. So So there's a couple little crackles in there. Now I don't know if that was because the mix was too hot, or because it could be the beat was too hot. Like, it could be anything in there, or it could have been something that people just like the sound of it. It sounded cool. You never know. I mean, you really don't. And so, like, my job's not to judge. My job's to work with what I'm handed. And I dug the track, and I just kind of wanted to touch that up and take that idea, because since we're hearing it with that crackle that we don't know for sure which way it goes, so let's add more. Let's lean into that. And so you end up hearing more from this thing here. So just like those last little couple of things where it just kind of goes all distorted. And this plugin's just fun for that. It just gives all kinds of just little things. But anyway, so that's the big picture of what we did on that track. And now again, just to kind of showcase the difference. So the original track before mastering.
Out, I say right now, right now, right now. Bad little bitch in the best sipping crowd. She said, hey, contempt, like, what are you doing? She just wanna fuck, well, that's not my movement. I just call it Uber, soon I'm out the door, bitch. Drinking all this liquor, I'ma act a little bit foolish. Little bitch, you are foolish. You are full of all the bullshit. I just dropped a full clip, screaming they want more of this. Said you can go and do whatever you want. Head to toe dressed in a Louis Vuitton, yeah. Baby girl moving too fast, slow it down. She just wanna spend my money, go downtown, yeah. Checks, 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 get the check list. Bet, bet, they all want me. She like, had her on her knees.
So that overall concludes this this informational lesson, I guess, on mastering and what we did with the song. So I hope you like it. If you did, then let me know so that I continue to do more of these. And if not, well, sorry. Go watch something else, I guess. But either way, have a good day, and we'll see you around. Thank you.